Alright people, I just crawled out of my economic fallout bunker, and I'm here to bring you the brutal truth on day 3 of the trade war apocalypse. And trust me when I say, it's gone from bad to catastrophic. We warned you. The world would retaliate against Trump's tariff tirade, and now it has. China just struck back hard, hammering US exports with a vengeance. Trump has officially pulled the trigger, and now it's the American economy and the everyday American citizen that will bleed the consequences. Let's break it down. Trump is out here trying to sell us a Pollyanna fairy tale, a dreamland where America wins everything, global manufacturing comes home, the world shrugs, and US goods get cheaper. But here's what's really happening. The US economy is on the cliff's edge of a brutal recession. Tariffs on Canada and Mexico are already gutting US auto manufacturing. Plants are shutting down. American workers are getting pink slips. Nearly 1,000 powertrain workers are about to be laid off. Stellantis has halted production in Mexico and Canada, and guess what? That means there's no demand for American parts anymore. This isn't policy. This is economic arson. Businesses aren't buying into the fantasy. They're responding to the brutal math. US exports are expected to plummet. CEOs are pulling the trigger on layoffs now because they know what's coming next. A full-blown recessionary firestorm. Yes, job numbers looked decent last month, payrolls up by 230,000, but don't be fooled. Unemployment is creeping up, 4.2% and rising. This is the calm before the economic hurricane. And then came the siren. JPMorgan raised the recession alarm to 60%. 3 flashing red flags, retaliation from foreign powers, sinking US business confidence, supply chain breakdowns. In other words, America's earnings are under siege. Now let's talk about the silent victim of this trade war, the US dollar. Trump wanted a weaker dollar to push exports, but the factories he promised, still dreams. The investments, still pledges. Meanwhile, the dollar is collapsing in slow motion. It has wiped out every inch of its post-election rally, and the final death blow came when Trump slapped those tariffs down. The dollar's supposed to be a safe haven, right? Well, not anymore. Global investors are walking away. They're buying anything but dollars. Why? Because US growth is officially in the gutter. China's counterpunch just made sure of that. Let's talk about Trump's twisted math. He calculated tariffs based on trade surpluses. China has a $300 billion surplus. Boom, 34% tariff. This is not negotiation, this is a suicide mission. Markets expected small, targeted tariffs. Instead, we got a sledgehammer. The result? A mass sell-off of US assets, collapsing consumption power, and worse, an assault on the dollar's global reserve status. With fewer imports, fewer dollars flow out. And without those dollars, global recycling into US stocks and bonds stops. That's a death knell for US dominance. Let me tell you why this is terrifying. Over 70% of American 401(k)s are tied to stocks. The S&P 500 is in free fall. Retirement savings are being torched, and instead of facing the music, the media is playing lullabies, telling people it's all fine. But it's not. This is not just market turbulence, this is the largest destruction of middle-class wealth in modern history. And when people feel poor, they don't spend. And when they don't spend, earnings drop, prices drop, the recession deepens. And that cycle repeats until it becomes a black hole. Here's the trillion-dollar question. Will the Fed step in? Will it cut rates, restart QE, flood the system with cash? If they don't, we're staring down a depression, but if they do, they'll kill the dollar even faster. Checkmate. Tariffs always have 3 players, the exporter, the importer, and the consumer. Guess who's footing the bill now? US businesses and US consumers. Stellantis and Ford are now offering employee-level discounts to everyone, a desperate move to salvage sales. You don't throw out deep discounts if your customer is strong. No, they're broke. And now every automaker will be pressured to follow. Profit margins? Crushed. Corporate America? Bleeding. And this all comes after Trump slapped a 54% tariff on Chinese goods. Walmart, Target, Dollar General, prices are about to explode. Trump's still bragging about how US manufacturing is coming back. $1.66 trillion in corporate pledges, 420,000 jobs, the works. But here's the thing. Those are just pledges. None of it materializes if the American consumer is collapsing. None of it matters if countries retaliate and corporate profits nosedive. Even worse, most of those pledges, they're all tech. Apple, Nvidia, TSMC, Microsoft, these giants have massive margins, they can weather the storm. But automakers, steel, real-world industries, they're hanging by a thread. One retaliatory tariff from China, and they're gone. The US still believes it can destroy global trade and come out stronger, that jobs will come back, that prices will stay down, but the world doesn't work like that. And the American people, they're not ready for what's coming. We're not just talking about trade, we're talking about families, children, dreams, futures. And those dreams are now being bartered away for an illusion. So welcome to the Twilight Zone. You're checked into Hotel California, folks. We might never check out. Will the dollar ever recover? How far will this crash go? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay safe, because this storm is just getting started.